And now, ladies and gentlemen, Skywalker.
Thank you, Jim Davis, and thank you for tuning in to Radio Memories, now on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. That's right, you can hear Radio Memories on Spotify. We are proud to be a part of the Spotify family, and you can just click the link to listen to Radio Memories, past and present interviews on Spotify. Great to be a part of the Spotify family. We have a great show for you today here on October 13th, 2021. Radio veteran Jeff Hunter, who was the program director of the Mighty 690. He was also the PD of Hot Hits Kits in San Francisco, KWOD 106 in San Francisco, and many other radio stations. Has had quite a career, and he's here today to share his radio memories. Joining us from his home, beautiful home in Cary, North Carolina. Say hey to Aunt B and Andy and Oakley. Goober and Gomer. Radio veteran, Jeff Hunter. Jeff, so good to see you again, my friend.
It's good to see you too.
Man, it's been a while.
It has.
What are you doing in North Carolina? We've been in Southern California, you and I, and in Northern California for so long.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I find you in North Carolina.
Yep.
What are you doing there, boy?
Well, after 46 years of radio, it was time to say adios, You know as well as I do about what happened to the industry when we went from analog to digital, and it just really sucked, And a lot of veterans lost their jobs, so I've decided to move to North Carolina, and where the living is easy and less expensive than Southern California.
Oh, so, yeah. And a lot of people have relocated, moved away from California because, it's simply, you can't afford to live here anymore.
No, you can't.
So this is where you've decided to hang up the headphones and retire and enjoy your life. Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about you and your radio history. So where does it start with Jeff Hunter?
Well, I was a musician, in my late 60s, 60, 67, 68, and then early, 70s. I was a musician. And when that didn't happen, I decided, since I'm not making music, I want to play music. And so I got into radio and hung out with a lot of overnight guys at the radio stations in Rochester, New York, and decided, well, I'm going to have some kind of instruction. You can't just go on the air. So I went to Career Academy of Broadcasting and worked at NBC and WNBC. And once I graduated, I went home and decided to, send out those air checks. And at that
time, what did you get to do at WNBC?
I was in the mailroom at NBC, and I also at WNBC on the weekends, I would check the log make sure the spots were clearing, And so, that was fun because I got to see a lot of cool people,
Right.
Johnny Carson to, Ed McMahon and all these people and all these jocks who were at WNBC.
Walking through the hallways, you know, and you're just there. Yeah.
It was really kind of cool. Anyway, so I started to send air checks out. And at that time, they didn't have an internship at radio stations.
No.
So you just got to throw a tape and a resume and say, hey, please hire me.
Right.
Please.
Right. Yes.
Well, it took 4 years because I did a lot of other odd jobs and I got my break at Brockport and WADD, a 1,000 watt day timer. When the sun went down 4:20 or something, we went up the air. That's just amazing. And I was a chief engineer too.
Isn't that amazing?
At that time, AMs were hiring jocks who had a first-class radio telephone license.
The ticket got you in.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
right. That's right. That's right.
And I went from afternoons to mornings there, and at the same time was working at WAXC, and as a tech, running all the music and the jock would just sit in the other room,
Right.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Oh, yes, where the jock just talked.
So anyway, I was doing that, and then I, for some reason, submitted an air check over to Robert W. Knight at WROC AM, and he liked my idea that I'm working two jobs, and liked how I sounded, and said, okay, let's put him on 7 to midnight. And so I was on WROC AM, Good Times, for a number, like a year and a half or something like that. And then what happened is they had a strike. Because it was a TV, AM and FM operation, and Russ Craft Broadcasting. I remember that. My gosh. And so we had to picket outside the facility. And after a couple of weeks of that, I said, something, this is not for me. I'm not a Teamster. I don't want to be doing that. So I decided to go west. So I moved to Northern California. And there I worked at Vallejo, KMBA, I believe, for a couple of weekends, and then went to KSDN in Stockton full time. And then from there, went to Sacramento to KNDE, Candy, and going against KROY, and Mark Driscoll was the PD at that time.
Oh, man.
What a cool guy. I mean, really. It was wacky. I mean, of course, I was like the headhunter doing mornings, and they had Stevie Jet, and Batman and all these cartoon names. It was it's just insane. But anyways,
Mark Driscoll's, when I worked for Mark Driscoll,
did you?
And he was a consultant in the day, and one of my favorite lines, and Rob Tonkin and I worked for Mark Driscoll together.
Yeah,
and one of my favorite lines that Driscoll would say was, "Remember, shoot like a pistol."
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Okay.
I know. Very funny. Very funny. And I worked with, before we get there. So I was there at KNDE, and the company came and bought the AM station and wanted to blend it with a little bit of cluster to K108. And so here I am, the PD now, because Mark went over to WNBC, all the way to WNBC in New York. And he said, well, you're the PD now. I go, okay. And we muddled along for a while. And then this company came in, Brown. I'm trying to remember the name of the company. They owned the AM and FM in San Diego. And they brought us all in. The GM and the owner brought us into a conference room, Jocks and myself, and said to me, Jeff is going to be staying with us, but all of you are fired.
Wow.
I know. I'm going, holy crap. Am I going to need safe passage out of this place? I mean, really? I mean, I just,
Oh, man.
My God, holy crap. Wow. And so I stayed with K108 for a while, and then went to the AM, because the AM was doing AOR. I'm sorry, it can't happen. Like you can't do AOR
on AM
station.
John Sebastian proved that with KHJ.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
I mean, when he tried to change KHJ into All Music 93, KHJ, competing against KMET.
Yeah, nice.
It was a complete failure.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, so that AOR format just went nothing. It went nowhere, So they brought me back on to do nights on KXOA AM and doing 7 to midnight, and a lot of new jocks. Terry Nelson was doing mornings. Wow. And Brian Simmons, and God, CJ was doing afternoons. It was a great time. But then, of course, they decided to change the format to like oldies. And so I'm saying, you know what? Time to get out. And so I moved to San Diego and worked at the Mighty 690 part-time. And after Frank Felix heard me a couple of times, he says, you're going to be doing 7 to midnight at the Mighty 690, which you have to travel from San Diego across the border to where the studio is on your way to Rosarita Beach. Yeah. And driving and going. And what happened was I was doing nights, and then all of a sudden they decided, well, you know what? We're gonna put you in mornings, and traveling through Mexico when it's dark.
It's pitch dark.
Yeah. And you have to do that toll road, and you have to go all the way where the ocean is and go up the hill where the studios are. And of
you
course,
have to pass the bull rink.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it was touch and go sometimes, because one time I was driving out there and one part of the road collapsed. Yeah. It's a good thing I was on the left-hand lane, because I would have crashed. And also another time there was a dead horse on one of the lanes. Just unbelievable. And we were like illegal aliens working at a station was owned by Mexican people,
right?
With Americans running it. I mean, it was like crazy, but the signal was so tremendous. I mean, especially at night.
God, we went from San Diego to Los Angeles up the Central Coast, all the way to Santa Barbara. We were heard in Santa Maria. Yeah. It was an amazing, clear channel frequency.
Yeah.
The one thing that always kind of stuck in my mind, and it didn't freak me out till way later in years, was when I was told that if suddenly you hear Spanish programming come over your headphones, leave the station.
Go to the beach.
Did they tell you that too?
Go to the beach. Yeah. If they
go to the beach. Yeah. Go to the beach.
Yeah. The engineers were right there, outside the studio, where this huge, massive transmitter. And
right.
I was told that if the engineers would get a tip that the federales were going to come by the station. Right. Get out, go now.
Get out.
Go to the beach.
Immediately get out.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that till years later.
I know.
And I thought, shit, we could have been in a lot of trouble, because we couldn't have escaped from the country.
No, not at all. And we'd be arrested.
Never to be seen again.
I know. So after a couple of years there, being the program director, we did some fun things. Gave away Corvettes and cash and all fun kind of stuff. I moved
and the Mighty 690 for you, being the program director. Now, that was an experience because you're programming to San Diego and you're programming to Los Angeles. So
right.
you're not only a San Diego program director, but you're a Los Angeles program director. So you're getting credit for a major market. You're a major market program director.
And we promoted up there too. We did a lot of things.
Well, you had vans,
and
by the time I got to the Mighty 690, there were like 4 vans. We had 4 vans in the Los Angeles area that we were promoting.
Yeah.
And I had just missed you at 690. I mean,
by that
much.
Wow.
It must have been by days, because you had just left to KIIS, KIIS, and then I got to 690, but it was amazing how we were targeting Los Angeles more so than San Diego.
Yes,
and so I saw how you were more so an LAPD. And that's how you became a San Francisco PD.
Yeah, exactly.
Because most San Diego PDs don't become San Francisco PDs.
Exactly.
You notice that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was, but we're working with KITS. We're working with Mike Joseph.
And that had to have been an experience. That was something... I was offered a gig in the hot hits format, and that wasn't appealing to me at all.
Yeah,
I never found that format appealing, and you, of course, they offered you the program directorship, and of course that would have been appealing, and so. But you were also on the air.
Yeah, mornings, 5 to 9.
That was a very complex format.
Yes,
so
a lot of jingles.
A lot of almost cluttered jingles.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
And it didn't seem fun. It wasn't a top 40 fun type of radio station, because you're talking into a jingle, into another jingle, into another jingle.
Yeah, and it was fast. It was really, really fast.
Very quick.
Like a speeding bullet. It was like a speeding bullet. I mean, it was amazing. But yeah, cluttered.
And was that a difficult format to execute? And was it a difficult format for you to control your jocks?
No, because what we all did before we even signed on that format, that was a Latin format before it. And we were in the main studio, the air studio, and we would dry run things, and they would tape it, and Mike Joseph would listen to it. And so we were like a couple of weeks of doing this dry run stuff and doing all these jingles and all that to keep pace with everything. I mean, it was just incredible. But yeah, we went on after a couple of weeks, and we were well schooled in doing all that jingles and all that coordination. It was just incredible.
And was it difficult? Did anybody have any problems executing the format? Did you? No,
not whatsoever. No, they were all real trained and knew what was going on. They were together. Yeah.
Did the San Francisco market like that format?
I think we were in Arbitron one time at 2.0, which is, you have to understand San Francisco area, and a 2.0, a 2.1 was, substantial because of all the shading and everything around that city, and the hills and stuff. So it was like, wow, that's great. We're at 2.1. That's great. Excellent. They could make a couple of $1 million of that, So yeah, they were really pleased with that. But they once they changed the format and got rid of all those jingles and stuff and started talking regular, CHR, then it started to creep up and start to get like a 3.11, 3.2. I think the highest it ever went was close to a 4, but I was gone by then. I was in Sacramento.
The Mike Joseph Hot Hits format just failed. It just failed in every market.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's like a lot of fatigue listening to all those jingles and hearing these songs again and again and again. It was just like, wow. Even though time spent listening was even a lot better than it's now. I mean, but yeah, it's just very fatiguing. Yeah.
So you end up exiting KIIS.
Yep. And went to Sacramento.
And you end up at KWOD 106.
Yep. Doing middays.
And you change your name.
Yeah. I was Jeff Hunter then, but what happened was after I was there until I think 87, I left and went to program KDON in the Monterey Bay area. And I was still Jeff Hunter, but when I went back to Sacramento in 88, I changed my name to Terry Steele because I said, Jeff Hunter, I'm tired of Jeff Hunter. Let's do something different and become Terry Steele, Steel Man, Man of Steel, all kinds of, different things I could do. So yeah. And I started to do afternoons.
So you decided just to give yourself a new identity and kind of start over. Yeah. As you returned to Sacramento.
Yeah.
So Tom Chase was the program director.
Right.
Tom Chase, who is the brother, the late Tom Chase, rest in peace, is the brother of Eric Chase, Paul, who uses the name Paul Christie now. Yeah. And Tom was the program director of KWOD 106. Mm-hmm. And Tom was doing afternoons at the time. Yeah. Now, Tom was a great disc jockey, but a very midday style disc jockey, doing afternoons.
Exactly.
Very confusing to me when I got to KWOD 106 because you've got Jeff Hunter or Terry Steele now doing middays sounding like afternoons.
Yeah, I know.
And you have Tom Chase in afternoons sounding like middays.
Yeah.
It's 3:04 and Tom Chase.
Well, I think Ed and Tom decided, because
you're talking about Ed Stolz.
Ed Stolz, yeah.
The infamous Ed Stolz. Yeah. And let me just say his name one more time because people always, Ed Stolz.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Ed Stolz was the owner of KWOD 106 at the time.
No, but they decided, Tom and Ed decided, well, look, let's put Jeff or Terry Steele doing afternoons and give Tom a 4-hour shift so he can go and take care of duties, as a program director. And I would do 2 to 7. And when I went back again, coming from Monterey Bay area to be the program director of KWOD 106, I was doing middays. And because we had John Edwards, we had Panama Jack, we had, and you. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, little buddy, Alex Cosper.
Right. Yeah, I had left K-pop. I was doing mornings. And then, oddly enough, Masters and Johnson, who were our morning people, decide to resign. Yeah. They decide to call it a day.
Yeah, exactly.
The owner says, let's put Terry Steele and Dave Schuyler in the morning.
Right. Exactly.
And so we do this for a month.
Yeah.
And it works out great.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get Ed to sign a contract so we can do this. And after a month, when we sat in his office, he just refused to sign the contract, and so that ended.
It did.
And so then you pick up the story because I left town.
Yep.
And oddly enough, I would end up at KIIS-FM. Probably the best thing for me, best thing for you guys too. But as I exit, how does Charlie Simons step into the story and you guys become Sterling and Steele instead of Schuyler and Steele?
I know. Yeah, I got a hold of Charlie. He was working in the Bay Area, doing either it was, I'm trying to remember, Walnut Creek or something, a little station. And I said, why don't you come on board and see if we can make this happen? And we did. We made it happen. And Jeff Selgo heard us. He was in town and he invited us to lunch. And that's when we went from Sterling and Steele at Quad 106 to Hot 97.7 in San Jose.
And then how did that go over with Ed Stolz? Because I can only imagine, because you and I know on Ed for such a long time, I would imagine that he thought that he gave you the big break, Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we just didn't show up.
Like everyone else.
Just adios. We'll see.
Yeah, that's pretty much hasta la vista, baby.
I know. That was it. So then we went to, Hot 97.7 with Sterling and Steele in the morning. Yeah.
And so how long do you guys stay there?
Well, we stayed there for 18 months. That was our contract. What happened was Charlie sometimes would do things a little different from what I would like them to do, what he would do. A true story. We were we always like to be out doing a broadcast outside, so people could see us and stuff like that. And we were at the shopping center, pitch dark. We were setting up equipment, stuff like that. And we would call it in. I mean, at that time, it was like a little machine or something that we did. It wasn't like, broadcast quality, but it was like almost like a phone. And what happened was one time, Charlie parked his car someplace that was a violation, and the police got him and told him to move. So when he went out to go move his car, he had some words with the police officer and ended up getting arrested. So I'm here with JV and myself and going, okay, what happens now? So I had to actually pick him up on a Sunday after he got out of jail. So funny, amazing. But Charlie had some surgery on his knees and stuff like that, and they decided not to continue on our contract. And I was with doing mornings there until the end of April, and that was it. I was gone, and I decided to move to LA, because everyone talked to me about, national people would say, look, you'd be great doing records, record promotion. You'd be great. Well, it was 91. And
I always thought you were going to get into, the record business.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, that'd be great to do. I would like to do that. But I only had 2 interviews in the 9 months that I was there. That's it. Yeah. And I talked to a lot of people, a lot of national people, a lot of, and it just did not work for me. So I got a hold of Jeff Selgo. He says, I got this great gig for you. Program director in Honolulu. I flew over to the Honolulu and spent some time with Lee Coleman, who was the GM at that time. And we liked each other. We thought it would be great. And that all began there in Hawaii, for five years. And then I decided to go further and become an operations manager for 5 stations on Maui, and moved there and spent 9 years there as corporate operations manager for the 6 stations, because Radio Maui was sold to Pacific Media Group and became 6 stations. And I had a great time, an awesome time.
That must have been a very, very nice, easy job.
It was, trust me, it was really relaxing. No stress. It was really good.
That's the kind of gig I would have liked to have had.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's fun and we really thrive on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a point where, boy, it's nice to just have a nice, cool, comforting job.
Yeah.
You know, where you really enjoy it.
Yeah.
You enjoy going into work.
Yeah.
And it's just comforting.
Yeah.
You know, and you enjoy it. And that's something a lot of people don't get to experience. And that's too bad, because a lot of people just end up very frustrated, getting laid off.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you, one of my closest friends, Charlie Tuna, ended his career in the worst of ways, you know, doing weekends at KIIS 101.
I know.
And that's not how he expected his career to end.
No, and he was always great on the air.
And believe me, he would have rather been in Hawaii. Trust me. Trust me. Yeah. Than doing weekends at KIIS 101.
Yeah.
It was just very sad.
Yeah, it was.
So after Hawaii, what did you do?
I came back to Southern California for personal reasons, and joined the Christian station in Oxnard, Ventura, and was there for 9 years as the program director. And in 2016,
I didn't realize you were there for 9 years. You and I had talked, but I didn't realize. Geez, that's a long time. That's a long run.
Yeah, and so at 2016, I lost my mom, and I decided to step down and to do part-time at the radio station and go work at Ventura County Rescue Mission. As a driver, I would take the guys who were in doing the program, rehab, over to the stores, the 2 stores that we had, because it was a work program. And then we'd go out and with this box truck and go to Costco and to Cisco and Walmart to get donations and bring them back to the rescue mission. And we would, we'd get mattresses and stuff like that. We distribute to other ministries and stuff like that to help people, And that was, for me, was very rewarding. I mean, and all at the same time, I was working at Sports USA a couple of seasons. I was a studio producer. Saturday, I would do the college, and on Sunday we did the NFL, and that was incredible. I know. But all things don't last forever. And so I decided, after 2019, I decided, well, it's just time to find another place to live, which is more comfortable, less expensive, and, it's green.
Can't find much of that anymore.
Oh, my gosh. So anyways, so then at 2020, I brought down picked up the stakes and the tent and moved to Cary, North Carolina.
Well, good for you. You know what?
Yeah.
You seem really happy.
I am. For 46 years in this industry, I learned, saw, met so many incredible people and just good times, and just, gosh, it was an incredible journey, you know, and fulfilling, you know. But after a while, you got to say, you know, we've lost touch with the audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when we went digital, you know, and we're doing voice tracking and guys are doing voice tracking to 3 stations. And, you know, it's just like, we lost touch with the audience entirely. And so,
and it's not the same. And no matter how many people are trying to bring it back and say, oh, local radio, these small towns is a place to go. Yeah. They're not able to survive. They're not able to make the money to allow the station to survive. So, you know, we had a great time in our day.
Yeah.
And that's what Radio Memories is all about. And and we love to remember the good times that we got to have and share, you know, with the audience. And I hope the audience loved it. They seem to. Yeah. We had great fans, great followers, great promotions.
Yeah. Gosh.
Boy, did we do some crazy things.
Exactly. Wow.
And Jeff, I want to ask you to come back because we did some outrageous promotions.
We did.
And I want to get you to come on and talk about some of those things. And you know,
that'd be great. I would love to do that.
Some of those things that we did at KWOD 106. Yeah. Some of the things that you did at the Mighty 690. Yeah. Some of the things that you did at some other radio stations, because I know you have more stories to share.
Indeed, I do.
and I would love to hear them.
Great. Excellent.
Because I know you, Jeff Hunter. Known you for a long time, my friend.
Yes.
I want to thank you for taking the time to be on Radio Memories and share your stories.
It's an honor.
You take care of yourself, my friend. And until we talk again, Jeff Hunter, what a great guy. It's so great to talk to him again and see he's enjoying life in North Carolina. Good to see you again, Jeff. And I hope to see you back on the show because I'd love to talk to you about some more fun stories. We had such a great time in our heyday, didn't we? And I can't wait to get you back on the show. Take care of yourself, Jeff. Coming up next week, another great radio veteran. So I hope you join us for more great radio memories.
Check out past interviews on the Radio Memories YouTube channel and on Spotify. Click the links. This is Maggie McKay for Radio Memories, a Dave Schuyler production.